welcome back to Brown Girl Talk. So today's topic is going to be a little bit different than the usual ones. I mean, obviously I know that I make a lot of comedy videos, but instead of making a comedy video, I've decided to do an unsolved mystery this time because I find it very interesting. I've been actually watching a lot of mystery kind of videos lately, so I was like, why not do one? So today I'm going to be doing it on, was Marilyn Monroe murdered or was it suicide? From the research that I've conducted, it's been ruled as suicide because there's a lot of things that lead up to suicide, but there's also a lot of things that lead up to it being a murder. And in my own theory, I feel like it was a murder, so we'll get into that later, but for now, let's get started. So Marilyn Monroe was found dead in 1962 of August 4th, I believe. She died at the age of 36. Now, in her family, there was a lot of mental illnesses and stuff, and she had that obviously in her history, you know, her mother being depressed all the time and being sent to the mental asylum and stuff. So she had the history of mental illnesses and like substance abuse. So here's what I found interesting is that when she was found dead, her body was surrounded by pills, but she was nude. And she was holding on to a telephone. That kind of makes me think that it was murder automatically. I mean, first of all, why would a person be nude? Secondly, why would they be holding a telephone? I don't know. Was she gonna call somebody? Like, it's really weird, like, you know, finding that she was lying in bed naked and like all that, and like, I mean, okay, the pills kind of make sense, but like her holding a phone and being nude, that kind of didn't really make sense to me, so I don't know. So that's why my brain automatically jumped to it being murder, but you know, a lot of things lead up to it being suicide since she had a really bad history of mental illnesses, as I said. Other things that people have said is that Marilyn Monroe, when she was alive, she was having an ongoing affair with John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, his younger brother. So, which is true. According to the facts that I've read, is that her and Robert Kennedy were dating, and like, so like she wanted to come clean about it, and yeah. So here's like the first scenario that I found interesting was that she was killed by Robert himself because he found out that she wanted to tell the truth, so he got her killed because he did not want the truth to come out. So in the theory, which is by Capel, it states that Monroe was sleeping with Robert, and because she became too attached, she wanted to tell everybody about it, but he killed her because he wanted to protect his own career. The second scenario was that she was killed by Robert for knowing too much. So the journalist who wrote this was Anthony. So he wrote in his 1975 book that Monroe was killed by Robert because she had a diary filled with all kinds of incriminating information. So it was like a red diary apparently, and yeah, there was like a lot of stuff in there from like whatever conversations that she had with Robert apparently, or with Kennedy. She wrote it in her diary, and they said that the house was possibly wiretapped on the orders of Jimmy Hoffa, but there wasn't really any evidence to withhold him, so that kind of just, I guess that was just a theory that they had, but I don't know if that was really true or not. But yeah, like I feel like the reason that this person said that is because like obviously the person wanted some kind of evidence against Kennedy, so they just wanted to destroy the Kennedy, is what like this person's saying, is that the reason the house was probably wiretapped, if it was, is that they wanted some kind of evidence against the Kennedys so that they could destroy them. Scenario number 3 was that her death was staged as suicide, which I find it could have been because it doesn't add up. Like, anything doesn't add up. Like, first of all, why did she die all of a sudden? Secondly, like, I mean, okay, I understand that she had depression and she had mental illnesses, but it just doesn't add up, like, why she would just kill herself all of a sudden. And like, another thing is that there was no suicide note found. According to the doctors, from what I've done research, they said that 40% of the people who end up committing suicide don't ever leave a note. But Monroe, I don't know why, but I feel like she wouldn't have killed herself. Anyways, so in the book of Goddess, The Secret Lives of Marilyn Monroe, Anthony Summer claims that after Robert Kennedy broke off the affair, Monroe decided to go public. So in order to keep her mouth shut, Kennedy and his brother-in-law, Peter Lawford, decided to get Monroe addicted to drugs and alcohol. And obviously they said that, like, in the theory that I was reading, they said that they decided to do this. And so, like, when she became addicted to it, she overdosed on the drugs, apparently, and she ended up dead. But from reading it, they said that she could have overdosed, and Kennedy and Lawford were both there. So what they did is that they took her to the hospital. She ended up dying on the way, and then they brought her back. They changed her clothes or whatever. They just threw her nude onto the bed and just, like, put it around her and just made it seem like it was suicide. So that's basically what this person's scenario was. But yeah, I feel like it could have been staged as suicide because, I mean, she was like an iconic kind of pop star, you know? Like, she was known well. I don't know why she would just, like, suddenly decide to, like, end her life. Scenario number 4, this one said that she was killed by the CIA to hurt the Kennedys. So apparently the CIA knew about, like, the Robert Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe affair, and they decided to kill Monroe to get back at the Kennedys for the Bay of Pigs invasion disaster. I haven't really fully read upon this one, but that's kind of weird. I mean, in my head, it just doesn't sound right, so I don't know. Scenario number 5 was that she was killed by mafia to hurt the Kennedys. So in this, what it says is that Monroe was killed on the orders of the Chicago Mafia boss, Sam. I'm not even gonna say his last name because I don't know how to say it. So the theory is that she was killed to make Robert back off his crusade against the mob. Again, I haven't done full research on this, so I really don't know that much. I'm sorry. So yeah. Scenario number 6 was kind of interesting to me because it was covered up by the doctors. So in this, Donald Sapato, he claims that in his book of Marilyn Monroe, the biography, that her death was an accidental overdose because she lied to her doctors about the medication. And apparently, I was reading on this, and she actually did. She went to, like, one of her doctors, and she said that the other one agreed to letting her have a little bit over this time. So I don't know whether this is a true fact or not, but yeah, but, like, in her case, if she actually did this, then I mean, obviously it is suicide because she was planning on killing herself. So yeah, but I think that the doctors found out or something, and they staged it as suicide with the help of the housekeeper, because I'm pretty sure, like, I don't really know what to say here, but, like, yeah, I feel like the doctors covered it up. Because obviously, like, it couldn't have been suicide. I feel like it was murder. The 7th scenario was she was going to expose the truth about the UFOs. I don't really know about this one that much because I didn't really get to the research of it. So in this one, in this theory, they said that Monroe was killed by the government because she threatened to leak classified information about extraterrestrials. So I don't know if she was actually gonna do that or not. So going back to scenario 5, I'm gonna talk about, like, how in the book of Marilyn Monroe murder cover-up, it was by Milos Bergilio. I think I didn't say that right, but I'm hoping I did. I don't know. He claimed that Monroe was murdered by Jimmy Hoffa and Sam, the mob boss. So in his according to his statement, he said that Granson was one of, like, the people who worked at the Los Angeles County offices, and Granson claimed that Monroe's body had been extensively bruised. That was omitted from the autopsy report, and that he had seen the red diary, but it disappeared, like, mysteriously. That kind of doesn't really, I don't know, first of all, why would he hide the truth? And even if he knew and saw that there were extensive bruises on Monroe's body, why didn't he bring it up at the time when he was asked first? Secondly, if he saw the red diary, how did it mysteriously disappear all of a sudden? That didn't really add up either, because he said that he saw it, but it disappeared randomly. Okay, well, I don't know what to say there, but, like, it's weird. It's really weird, because first of all, he hid the truth about if Marilyn Monroe had like bruises on her body or not, and secondly, the diary just disappeared all of a sudden. That really didn't add up, unless like, here's what I think is that he was told to be silenced because he was probably being paid or something. So that could have actually have happened, like that he was being paid to keep his mouth shut, and like somebody took the red diary because they found out that he's seen it. So I don't know, because it just doesn't add up that all of a sudden Grandison just decides to come up and tell the truth. So Spergilio decided to get LA District to open the case again, which they did, but they couldn't find anything, and so it couldn't be ruled as murder. The LA District actually claimed that Grandison was unreliable because he had been fired from the Los Angeles County Coroner's office for stealing from the corpses. Okay, sorry about the face, but I mean, that's just really messed up. Like, why would you do that? So anyways, the allegations against Bernard Spindle. Bernard Spindle is the one who actually got like Monroe's house wiretapped apparently, and anyways, so the allegations against Bernard were apparently not reliable either, according to what I've read, is that they didn't find any evidence against it. They, like, Bernard said that yes, he did wiretap Monroe's house, but when the investigators investigated, they didn't find anything like any of those tapes. So there was no evidence to withhold against Bernard. This is the 8th scenario. I think this is going to be the last one before I get to my scenario. Anyways, so in this scenario, it is said that John Miner says that Monroe's death was not suicide. From what I was reading, it said that like she was wanting to give him the recordings, or that they were gonna sit down together and then like go through the recording. Anyway, but yeah, Miner claims that Monroe wanted to give the audio tapes to her psychiatrist, Dr. Greenson, and that this was like, she recorded these like shortly before her death. And on the tapes, Monroe spoke of her plans for the future and like her sexual life and all this stuff. And then Miner says that it just doesn't add up. Like, she's talking about all these things, which I agree. Like, she's talking about like the future, her sex life, how she's so happy about like, you know, being so successful and everything. And like all of a sudden it just, like, she just ended up dead. And it didn't add up to me either. I mean, like, why would she be talking about all these wonderful things and then she just commits suicide out of nowhere, you know? So yeah, Miner says that Monroe was killed by an enema that her housekeeper can administrate. So according to what I've read, is that the housekeeper is actually the nurse. I don't know how that theory came up, but yeah, apparently from what I was reading, they said that the housekeeper could have been the nurse because she was able to administrate to getting the enema for Monroe and getting her the pills that she usually needs. So, I mean, it could add up to that, but I don't know how that came up, but yeah, it did. In the official reviews of the case by District Attorney in 1982, he told the investigator about the tapes, but they didn't mention that he had the transcripts on them or anything. So Miner claimed that this was probably because Greenson had told the person or gotten him to swear not to tell anything, you know? So he was silenced. And the tapes, they've never been found or anything, but Miner said that they actually exist. But nobody's ever seen them, nobody's heard of them, so nobody really knows whether they exist or not. But yeah, that's what Miner says. But before Miner could even go public about these tapes, Greenson was dead. So nobody, and like there was no evidence found or anything that actually shows that those even exist. So I don't know whether this is true or not, but I feel like it could be true because Monroe was like found dead all of a sudden, you know, like it's just, nothing adds up to why she would commit suicide, or like what was the reason that she did end up dead and everything all of a sudden. So I don't know, I feel like it was definitely murder, but yeah. Anyways, I feel like, okay, here's what I feel like in my theory. This is like my own theory, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys now. So in my theory, here's what I think. I feel like the housekeeper did it. When I was doing the research, here's what I came across, which is really interesting because I feel like the housekeeper actually did this. So when she was questioned, because obviously everybody was questioned, so when the housekeeper was questioned, this is what her first statement was. Her first statement was that she went to check out on Monroe at midnight, okay, midnight. And when she knocked on her door, there was no response, so she called Dr. Greenson. Then in her second statement, she claims that she went to sleep at midnight, but then she woke up around 3 or 4 o'clock, went to check on Monroe. She found that the lights were on. She knocked on the door, there was no response, so she called Dr. Greenson. That's kind of interesting because in her first statement, it's very different to her second statement. And according to the police, they said that she kept changing her answers over and over again. Her response was completely different from her very first statement to her second statement, and so on and so forth. So I believe it was the housekeeper, because I mean, first of all, in her first statement, she claims that she went at 12 o'clock, but then she's like, I went around 3 or 4 o'clock and I found that she was unresponsive. I called Dr. Greenson, he came, he broke the window, we went inside, we saw that she was dead. So I don't know, because I feel like the housekeeper could have done it. Like she could have, you know, she could have mixed a lot of different things in her drink, maybe even. I know that in the autopsy they said that they found a lot of like pills in her body and stuff, but the thing is, like it's weird. Like in one of the things that I was reading, it said that she had bruises on her body, and then like the autopsy just omits that like she doesn't have any of the bruises. Like why would they cover it up? Like this is my question, is why would the media or even the doctors cover it up? Because if this is like if you're being able to see that these bruises are visible, why are you covering it up? You should be telling it that yes, this is not a case of suicide, it's murder. So obviously it's definitely a cover-up, first of all. Second of all, it is definitely not suicide. So I'm gonna continue this video forward once I get more research into it and get more of like evidence to withhold that this is definitely murder. So we'll continue this in the second video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the first video of this. So if you guys did, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys for the next video, for the second part of this, if there is, soon. If not, there are definitely going to be more of these unsolved mysteries coming up for you guys, so stay tuned. Bye guys.